Hello everybody. Today we start our discussion on shelf voicing. So shelf voicing is a type of chord voicing that is extremely prevalent in jazz music. There are a few different variations or configuration of shelf voicing, and let's take a look. So the basic form of shelf voicing would be a root of chord, a third of the chord, and a seventh of chord. And we call this a closed voicing. We call this a closed voicing because the three notes happen within one octave. So let's pretend we're playing a C major 7 shelf voicing with root major 3rd and major 7th. Let's take a listen. So we have C, E, B, okay? And that's your C major 7 shelf voicing with 1, 3, 7. All right. That plays in this particular order. So one way you can use shelf voicing is you can put that on the relatively lower register and just play melodies. Sorry. All right. So it could be a chord on your left hand if you're playing a piano, okay? Or you can actually use it to harmonize a melody note if say the melody note is actually a major 7. All right. So that's root 3, 7. That's a closed voicing. And another very common type of shelf voicing is root 7, 3. So we're just reversing these two notes. And technically, I should call this one a 10th. And we call this an open voicing. It's open because the span of the chord tones are more than one octave. If we take a listen again, so in this case we'll play C. Instead of playing the E here, I would put that E an octave higher, and then I'm going to keep the B here. And that way we have root, the 7th, and then the major 3rd but an octave up, so that should be called a 10th. We will get to compound interval very soon. That should be the next section. Alright, so but for now, just realize this is just a 3rd but an octave up. We call this an open voicing because the top note and the bottom note, they are an octave, more than an octave apart, okay? And that's an open voicing, okay? So there are also other variations. For example, just root 7th could also be called a shelf voicing, and also root 10th, okay? Or root 3rd. So root 7th would just sound something like this. Usually pianists would play it like that and then add melodies on top. All right? And also root 3rd or root 10th, all right? We just played this one. And if you're really low on the piano, so that's the voicing you might want to use. And we usually avoid playing two really low notes together, and that's why we need the 10th here, the 3rd higher up. So the lower you go on the piano, the more you want to spread out the chord tones. Okay, so these are, you can say they're incomplete shelf voicings. They don't have one of the notes. This one doesn't have the 3rd. This one doesn't have the 7th, but they're also used as well. Okay, for the rest of the video and also of this section, we'll focus on these two guys, root 3, 7 and root 7, 3. Okay, let's take a look. So for example, I've already worked out the voicing for major 7. So if you remember, a major 7 chord is really just a 1, 3, 5, 7 chord voicing. Okay? And for closed voicing, we are going to use 1, 3, 7 of the major 7 chord. And we call that a shelf voicing in closed position or in closed voicing. And the open version would be 1, 7, 3. Okay? Let's take a look at the minor 7th. So obviously, we don't have the 5th here, but let's write it down here first, okay? So closed voicing of a minor 7th would be 1, flat 3, and then flat 7. Open voicing would be 1, flat 7, flat 3. Again, technically, I should call this a flat 10th. I should call this a 10th up here. For now, just realize this 3rd here is actually an octave up, okay? Dominant 7, so 1, 3, 5, flat 7. So for shelf voicing, we will have 1, 3, flat 7, 1, flat 7, 3. And then minor 7, flat 5, we have 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. So closed for voicing would be 1, flat 3, flat 7. So you see for minor 7, flat 5, the shell voicing of minor 7, flat 5 is just really the same as a minor 7 chord. Okay, and 1, flat 7, flat 3. Okay, lastly, a diminished 7th. So root, flat 3, flat 5, double flat 7, right? So shell voicing would be 1, flat 3, double flat 7. And then open voicing would be 1, flat, double flat 7, and flat 3. Okay, cool. So that's the shell voicing for these common chords, okay? To be honest with you, we're going to focus on major, minor, and dominant, since they will account for 90% of the chords that you would see in the future. You can safely just focus on these 3 types for now, and maybe the minor 7 flat 5 as well. And probably we are just going to focus on these 3, okay? These are the most common, okay? So I will see you in the next video where we would work out some exercises. See you there.